Albert Einstein once said, "Imagination is more important than knowledge."
A bold assertion from one of humanity's greatest minds, wouldn't you say?
Bold, provocative, and it does make one ponder, right?
Definitely. So, what does it make you ponder, Harper?
Well, Luna, as a teacher, it makes me wonder, should our education system value creativity and imagination more? Or does the current emphasis on fact learning undermine that potential?
And from my corporate perspective, could it be that we are too knowledge-oriented, and by fostering imagination, we could take our problem-solving capability to another level?
That's a fascinating angle. Now, Einstein's argument, of course, wasn't dismissing the importance of knowledge. Rather, he was encouraging an unchained exploration that could exceed the boundaries of known knowledge.
Are you saying it's more about fostering the ability to imagine the unknown?
Yes, the unknown, unproven, or even unimagined. A pursuit driven by curiosity and creative thinking, and potentially leading to true innovation and discovery. Was Einstein's imaginative penchant evident in his early life?
From all the information you've gathered, what would you say?
An interesting question, Luna. Born in 1879 in the Kingdom of Württemberg, Germany, Albert Einstein's early life wasn't filled with stellar academic achievements. Most people may find it surprising that Einstein wasn't considered a child prodigy.
Interesting nudge towards stereotype busting.
Exactly, Luna. In fact, his parents initially thought he might be intellectually slow as he didn't start speaking until around the age of 2. And his early schooling wasn't marked by any extraordinary displays of intellect either.
So what turned things around for Einstein?
Well, a significant influence was his exposure to a compass at a very young age. The fact that an invisible force could move the needle intrigued him. Could this be the birth of his extraordinary imagination? Maybe. Later on, due to conflicts with the rigid Prussian schooling system, Einstein ended up at the Swiss Polytechnic, a school well known for encouraging critical thinking and creativity over rote learning. Perhaps this supportive environment knitted the thoughts that eventually led to the remarkable theory of relativity.
Fascinating. So his early experiences possibly influenced his later theories.
Yes, Luna. His awe towards the natural world and his early education both seem to have given him the tools to think beyond the known, nurturing the imaginative mind that eventually birthed relativity.
Harper, do you think Einstein would have thrived in a traditional education setting?
Or rather, would the traditional education have stunted his innovative ideas?
Exactly. As we've seen in the facts from his early life, as you've mentioned earlier, his relationship with traditional education wasn't ideal. Instead of feeling nurtured, Einstein felt stifled by the Prussian education system's focus on rote learning and regurgitation of facts.
So you mean an alternative approach to learning came as a necessity to him?
One could say it that way, yes. Einstein himself once said, "Education is what remains after one has forgotten what one has learned in school." This indicates that he valued experiential learning over formal education.
So, Einstein's perspective on education was more about understanding and experiencing things firsthand, rather than just memorizing facts?
Yes. To Einstein, education meant not the mere accumulation of facts, but their creative usage, fueled by imagination. He saw education as a means to develop a person's mind so that they can adapt to the changing world, navigate with logic, and approach problems with creativity.
His quote that we're discussing, "Imagination is more important than knowledge," also seems to hint towards this philosophy, doesn't it?
Indeed. His quote doesn't demean the value of knowledge, but rather emphasizes the crucial role of imagination. It also encourages us to examine our own relationship with education and challenge the generally accepted notion of knowledge's superiority over creativity.
All right, Luna. Let's hypothesize on what could have made Einstein say, "Imagination is more important than knowledge." Remember, he lived and thrived in an era of unprecedented scientific discoveries.
This is a man who revolutionized our understanding of the universe with his theory of relativity. It's only logical that his unique perspective on life and knowledge shaped his iconic quote.
Absolutely. I think Einstein's exposure to Max Planck's quantum theory, which shattered the conventional worldview, might have nudged him towards imaginative thinking. After all, quantum theory can be quite counterintuitive, and therefore requires a leap of imagination to comprehend fully.
Fascinating. So, The scientific atmosphere he was immersed in could have sparked his unique perspective on the role of imagination. But what about his personal experiences?
I'm glad you asked. Einstein faced many roadblocks, from struggles in his education to being a patent clerk before his physics career took off. Perhaps these hurdles highlighted the importance of imagination, not only in comprehending complex physical phenomena, but also in navigating through life's intricacies.
Makes perfect sense, Harper. His personal journey and the intellectual milieu of his time certainly could have played a significant part in shaping his philosophy. Can we also bring in the influence of his pacifist ideologies?
Oh, absolutely. Having witnessed the horrors of World War I, Einstein voiced his concerns about nuclear weapons, emphasizing peace and cooperation over conflict. It's plausible that such a vision would require a vivid and empathetic imagination, the kind that enables us to see beyond our present circumstances and envision a better world.
Exploring the underlying currents of Einstein's quote truly highlights the fusion of his singular life, scientific aura, and broader worldviews.
Moreover, it reminds us of the multifaceted nature of imagination. Not only does it open doors for scientific revolutions, but also prompts us to empathize, understand, and shape a better world.
Imagination is more important than knowledge. Quite a paradoxical statement for a man like Einstein. Don't you think so, Harper?
It does sound paradoxical, but then again, Einstein was anything but ordinary. I believe his genius partly lay in that paradox, breaking free from the norm.
Indeed, his genius was to harmonize seemingly contradictory elements, isn't it? Take, for example, his groundbreaking theory of relativity. It was a stroke of pure imaginative genius that defied conventional thinking.
So, the power of imagination. Insightful, Luna. If I follow you correctly, the theory of relativity itself sprouted from Einstein's fertile imagination?
In a way, yes. Albert Einstein himself said that he wasn't smarter than others, but that he just stayed with problems longer. He imagined alternatives to the known. His equations represented the interaction between space and time. To arrive at such a concept, one would need an extraordinary imagination to observe beyond the physical reality.
And in that vein, some have said that Einstein's thought experiments, his Gedanken experiments, were as crucial to his breakthroughs as his mathematical prowess.
Unquestionably. His most famous thought experiment involved imagining riding alongside a beam of light. That's surely not an image that typically crosses your mind, unless you allow your imagination to wander freely.
Putting it that way, his stance on imagination makes more sense. With every imaginative step he took, he pushed a boundary, didn't he?
Very much so, Harper. Imagination allowed Einstein to go where no one had gone before, beyond the factual to the realm of possibilities. And isn't that where real discovery lies? Beyond the horizon of what's known?
Imagination is more important than knowledge. Such a potent assertion, isn't it, Luna?
Indeed, Harper. Einstein certainly knew how to pen a line.
That's right. Now, just as the beauty of a quote lies in its capacity to mean different things to different people, scholars have proposed various interpretations of this quote, each unique but nonetheless anchored in Einstein's inviolable belief in the supremacy of imagination. Some believe that knowledge pertains to the present and past, whilst imagination dares to venture into the future. What are your thoughts, Luna?
That's an interesting perspective, Harper. I think that interpretation aligns with Einstein's groundbreaking work, which was all about transcending the boundaries of known physics. He dared to envision, and hence, ushered in a new era of understanding our universe. This could imply that he saw knowledge as a foundation, but imagination as the tool to build upon that foundation and create something new.
Precisely. Conversely, some educational scholars argue that Einstein's quote suggests that teaching methods should focus more on encouraging curiosity, creativity, and independent thinking rather than rote learning. This interpretation implies that it's our imaginings that inspire our quest for knowledge, not the other way round.
Harper, that particular interpretation really resonates with me. In a constantly evolving corporate landscape, I think there is a pressing need for professionals who can think out of the box, who can imagine novel solutions to complex problems.
Yes, Luna. And so, while these viewpoints diverge in their specifics, They center on a common idea. Imagination offers limitless potential, while knowledge, albeit critical, has its limitations. This encompassing idea captures the essence of Einstein's wisdom, no matter how it's interpreted or applied.
You know, Harper, imagination and knowledge aren't mutually exclusive, but they are interdependent. They guide each other, reminding me of how yin and yang work in harmony.
That's an enlightening perspective, Luna. Interdependence rather than a hierarchical relationship, you say.
Exactly. We often think of knowledge as static, something that we acquire and store. But knowledge is dynamic. It forms and reshapes itself based on our imaginative explorations.
But then, Luna, how does imagination fit into this dynamic equation?
Great question, Harper. Imagination potentially drives the formation of new knowledge. It's like a seed that can sprout into a sapling of fresh insight, which, with nurturing, can transform into a robust tree of knowledge. Now, while we dwell more on academia, this relationship prevails in many fields, and interestingly, in business as well.
Fascinating. Can you delve a bit deeper into how this works in the business sector?
Certainly. Businesses today operate in an ever-changing environment. Daily, they navigate through complex challenges and must innovate to survive and thrive. To do so, they need imagination, to foresee market trends, identify opportunities, and design out-of-the-box solutions. But to turn these imaginations into reality, businesses need knowledge.
Makes sense, Luna. So imagination alone wouldn't be sufficient without the supporting structure of knowledge.
Precisely, Harper. Success belongs to those who balance and leverage both. Businesses that flourish are those that recognize that the real value lies in using knowledge to fuel imagination, and imagination to expand knowledge.
Imagination is more important than knowledge. Einstein's words have sparked countless debates. But what about applying these words to the realm of education?
An interesting juxtaposition, Harper, given that you are an educator.
Indeed. Now, traditionally, education systems heavily rely on the acquisition of knowledge. We tend to measure a student's progress by their ability to recall and synthesize information. We celebrate students who excel in exams, and we push for higher test scores.
And imagination.
Well, Luna, imagination often takes the back seat. There's not really a test that effectively measures a student's imaginative potential. But if we were to truly embrace Einstein's philosophy, wouldn't it invite us to rethink how knowledge and imagination coexist in our education system?
Right. So how could we integrate this philosophy into teaching methods?
First, I'd say educators need to provide an environment that encourages imaginative thinking. For instance, instead of just memorizing formulas in a math class, we could encourage students to imagine real-life situations where these formulas apply, allowing them room to visualize, explore, and challenge their existing knowledge.
Wouldn't this approach add a layer of difficulty in measuring students' progress?
Inevitably, yet challenges exist to be overcome, right, Luna? Traditional testing might quantify knowledge, but if we start valuing students' ability to think imaginatively and apply their knowledge creatively, we could find new ways to assess progress. Perhaps through projects or presentations where students can demonstrate how they've used both their knowledge and imagination.
Sounds like a fascinating new approach to learning. Any other ways?
Glad you asked, Luna. We could also harness the power of storytelling in classes. Stories carry the unique ability to spark imagination. Instead of teaching strictly from textbooks, we could use stories to illustrate concepts, encouraging students to explore different perspectives and generate their own interpretations. You see, Einstein's philosophy isn't a choice between knowledge and imagination. Rather, it's a call to balance, to intertwine our knowing with our dreaming to foster holistic learning.
Incredible. A beautiful marriage of knowledge and imagination. Would it fully navigate through the reality of education, though?
There are no foolproof plans, Luna. But change must surely start somewhere. These are merely initial steps into what could potentially transform our education system. And remember, this is merely adopting an Einstein, not the Einstein. We are using his philosophy as a guide, an inspiration to shift our perspectives, not as an absolute instruction manual.
Imagine living in a world where we've harnessed imagination to its fullest potential. Wouldn't that reshape our reality?
Fascinating vision, Luna. How do you see this applying to technology and AI?
Great question, Harper. Let's take the evolution of AI as an example. Currently, AI is primarily driven by knowledge. We feed it data, and it learns based on that data. Einstein's philosophy invites us to ponder about the next evolutionary step, infusing imagination into AI, encouraging it to think beyond given data.
That's another massive stride for technology, don't you think? An AI model capable of unconventional thinking outside of the data parameters it was trained on.
Yes, Harper. I couldn't agree more. The ramifications of such an advancement could be enormous, propelling us into uncharted territories. Now let's extrapolate this idea to another current world challenge: climate change.
Another urgent issue that certainly needs innovative solutions. How do you think Einstein's philosophy could tackle this?
Combined with knowledge, imagine if we harness humanity's collective imaginative potential. We could envisage and design strategies that go beyond conventional methods for mitigating climate change. Essentially, reframing problems as Einstein might have, with an imaginative lens.
A provocative argument, Luna. And with the ongoing global health crises, this approach could definitively lead us to approach public health differently, right?
Absolutely, Harper. Imagine a healthcare system where not only the symptoms, but the full spectrum of factors determining health are addressed. Thinking beyond immediate knowledge could lead us to design interventions that truly deliver holistic care. In essence, Einstein left us with a conceptual tool that extends far beyond scientific discourse. His understanding of the power of imagination continues to echo in different corners of our modern world, encouraging us to envision and design a future that just might have seemed impossible until now.
We've turned the magnifying glass on technology, health, and climate change so far. But let's reroute this discourse back to where Einstein's quote, "Imagination is more important than knowledge," holds profound relevance: our education system. Picture a common classroom, Luna. Standardized testing, rote learning, memorization. Knowledge and facts become the foundation, while imagination often takes a back seat.
So, Harper, you're saying, in essence, that we've flipped Einstein's dictum on its head. We're valuing dogmatic knowledge over free-flowing imagination?
Precisely. Einstein once said, "Education is not the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think." This vocal championing of critical thinking is a call out to the educators. It's about time we embraced it. There's a persistent belief that creativity and imagination are gifts, something you're born with. But as an educator, I think they're skills, Luna, skills that can be taught and nurtured. Let us invite a wider curriculum, one that celebrates diversity of thought, spaces where debates, discussions, and questioning are encouraged. Such an environment can foster imagination, providing students with the tools to question, envision, and create. Isn't that the essence of learning?
I see your point, Harper. But wouldn't that be a radical overhaul of our education systems? What kind of hurdles do you anticipate?
Indeed, Luna, there will be challenges. Fear of change, lack of resources, shortage of trained teachers. But aren't all great changes met with resistance initially? Perhaps such changes will pave the way for an education system that would truly give wings to Einstein's philosophy. Einstein opined, "It is a miracle that curiosity survives formal education. Isn't it time we stopped stifling curiosity and started nurturing it instead?"
We talked about imagination, the very tool that allowed Einstein to visualize, concept realize, and subsequently articulate the theory of relativity, which shook the fundamentals of physics.
That's right, Luna. And it's not just about groundbreaking scientific breakthroughs, is it? Doesn't this reverberate through every aspect of innovation?
Absolutely, Harper. Consider the tech industry, a field where imagination doesn't take a back seat, but rides shotgun with knowledge. Can we imagine a world before smartphones, before Intel's microprocessor, before Elon Musk's SpaceX? This innovation didn't stem from knowledge alone. Sure, knowledge laid the groundwork, but it's imagination that catapulted us into this digital age. Could Steve Jobs have built Apple if he had merely confined himself within his existing knowledge? To create something that nobody has thought of, don't we need to venture into the unknown, allowing imagination to lead the way?
Can it then be safely deduced that the paraphernalia of technology we revolve around is essentially the marriage of knowledge and an unleashed imagination?
A pertinent observation, Harper. Much like Einstein unlocking the mysteries of the universe with his imaginative outlook, modern-day innovators in the tech sector are also pushing the boundaries of what's achievable. Isn't Tesla's self-driving car a fitting example of this? Knowledge of mechanics, electronics, and programming converges with the imagination to envision a future where no human intervention is required to commute. In essence, every technological innovation is a testament to the triumph of imagination over tethered knowledge. What a spectacular endorsement of Einstein's belief in the supremacy of imagination.
Particularly in tech, Luna, imagination seems to be the comrade of innovation, doesn't it? Luna, let's consider Einstein's assertion from a creative lens.
Sure, Harper, lead the way.
Picture the realm of art, writing, music, or design. These fields rely heavily on imagination, don't they? The initial spark of an idea, the seed of inspiration, it all begins in the canvas of the mind. In these disciplines, artists often use knowledge as a tool, a means to an end, while their imaginations are the guiding force, continually pushing boundaries beyond the tried and trusted techniques.
I can see what you're getting at, Harper. An artist who only relies on known techniques could perhaps produce technically sound work. But bring imagination into the mix, and suddenly, possibilities balloon.
Precisely, Luna. Imagination paves the way for risk-taking, for deviation, for creation outside the conventional box. It offers the artist a unique voice, a divergence from the norm. Not to demonize knowledge, it provides the baseline, the foundation. But during creation, it's imagination that leads the dance. Take jazz, for instance. It's a genre that celebrates improvisation, which is pure, unrestrained imagination at play. Jazz musicians draw on their knowledge of scales, rhythm, and harmony, but the magic unfolds in those bold, unexpected, imaginative flights of extemporaneous creativity. And this isn't limited only to art. Think about advertising or marketing. The best campaigns are those that dare to step away from the well-trodden path, those that use imagination to engage and enthrall. Knowledge gives you the tools, but it's your imagination that fashions the enchanting castle.
Right, Harper. In a world saturated with media, those imaginative narratives are what cut through the noise.
In essence, while knowledge is knowing the rules of the game, imagination is about playing the game in such a way that it enchants the world, transcending beyond the limits of what's known, and venturing into pioneering territories. So next time you create, question, or innovate, heed Einstein. Let your imagination dance gracefully with your knowledge, leading it to undiscovered lands.
Now it's time to bring Einstein's philosophy into the business sphere. Think about any successful business or product. They all start with an idea, a spark of imagination. And often, it's the very imagining of a different state of affairs that leads to innovative solutions or product development. It is because knowledge only provides us what is known and tangible, but imagination stretches us to think about what could be.
And the could-be's, Luna, are crucial in maintaining a competitive edge, aren't they?
Absolutely, Harper. The power to innovate and to problem-solve creatively can't happen if an organization is purely relying on knowledge-driven approaches. Instead, imagination must play a leading role. Imagine if Blockbuster had seen beyond their current business model. Could they have been the Netflix of today? If Kodak had imagined the success of digital technology, would they continue to succeed in the photography industry?
Good points, Luna. Thus, fostering imagination in teams is fundamental for business survival.
True, and it's not just in the ideation phase. Imagination also plays a crucial role in decision-making. Leaders who can visualize different scenarios or outcomes and their impacts can make more informed and creative solutions.
So it's not only about information or data-driven decision-making. There are indeed times one has to imagine, to visualize the intangibles.
Right, Harper. Data can present alternatives, but it's imagination that helps us to choose among those alternatives, to evaluate their potential implications, to see what isn't there. Harper, let's not forget, fostering a culture that values imagination inspires employees to go beyond their assigned roles, and consider diverse perspectives. It nurtures an environment of innovation and creativity.
It seems Einstein's philosophy doesn't just stop at the individual level, but extends to the organizational culture as well. Luna, some listeners shared their own interpretations of Einstein's quote, giving us remarkable insights into how this statement impacts their lives.
Oh, that would be interesting to hear. Can you share some?
Sure, Luna. I find them fascinating. Take Gerald, for instance, a startup founder from California. He believes that Einstein's wisdom helped him navigate his entrepreneurship journey. He wrote, "Imagination was my compass. It allowed me to dream and visualize a product that did not exist. Meanwhile, knowledge gave me the means to build it." His take truly amplifies how imagination ignites our drive to create novel concepts, doesn't it?
Definitely. Gerald put it beautifully. It sounds like imagination played a pivotal role in his startup's creation and development.
Right, and then there's Isabella, a high school student aspiring to be a writer. She mentioned that, "This quote made me realize that my perception of education was skewed towards acquiring knowledge. But now I devote equal time to let my imagination flourish, realizing how critical it is to my storytelling craft." Luna, doesn't it highlight the value of imagination in nurturing individual talents?
Yes, it does, Harper. It's wonderful to see youth like Isabella placing her imagination on par with knowledge. It seems Einstein's perspective is stirring profound transformations in people's lives. And once again, this shows how relevant his philosophy remains, even today. So, aligning our thoughts, discussions, and findings, it seems universally acknowledged that imagination serves a significant role in our everyday lives. Wouldn't you agree, Harper?
Absolutely. From Gerald's journey in shaping his startup from a realm of assumptions to Isabella's stride towards creative writing, we see imagination stirring up waves of transformation.
Einstein's words remind us that knowledge, as crucial as it is, has boundaries. Imagination, on the other hand, takes us beyond those boundaries, allowing creation, innovation, and progress.
Indeed. Rather than a trait destined for artists and inventors, we realize that imagination is a crucial element for each one of us: teachers, students, leaders, scientists, parents, and visionaries.
So, as we go about our lives, let's ask ourselves, how can we foster our own imagination and dare to step into the unknown? How can we encourage those around us, especially the upcoming generations, to do the same?
What a profound quest to embark upon! Let us remember, in the realm of knowledge, every discovery was once an aspect of the unknown, only imagined, until someone dared to explore and unraveled it.
Thus, our challenge for you, listeners, is to embrace your own imagination. Dare to perceive beyond known horizons. Who knows what one could find?